Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
And we are meeting here. This is the Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary School District, aka the voluntarily consolidated school district of Grafton, Athens, and Westminster. We are meeting in the elementary school library in Wyndham, in Grafton, and we have semi-full agenda. I'm going to start by asking if there are adjustments or amendments to the agenda. Do you all, by the way, have copies of said agenda?
You have extra?
I have.
do.
You know what?
Well, actually,
It's okay, I'm sharing it.
No, I printed my own.
we have. I know we
So you
had
can
extras.
hand that down.
Yeah.
All right.
I had a copy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Um,
Is Charles coming?
I will put
No.
one item on here, which is a 7C new business, town invoices. So that should be fun.
Jeff,
Yes.
just one other note, which is that there's a quorum of the Westminster School Town Board Advisory Committee here as well, and I want to sort of acknowledge the fact that that is meeting simultaneously with Unified Union
Right.
District.
And I have been told informally that one of our constituent members of the Athens Grafton Board is, I haven't got anything official, but it sounds like he will not be able to come going forward for medical reasons, and I will be talking to him and talking to the folks of the Athens Grafton Board to figure out what we want to do about that, and I need to check in with Pam and with June to make sure that they're voluntarily still part of this, make sure that everybody's here going forward. Thank you for that note.
Jack,
Yes.
this is for additional things. I need to ask a question about what to do with school funds that are still in the Athens.
All right, we'll make
Account.
we'll put a 7D school funds disposition. All right. And so, with those two changes, a 7C town invoice is indeed school funds disposition. Let's begin. Are there any communications or public comments? I know we have an official audience here. All right. I think again, since we're oh, sorry, thank you. Let's review and approve board minutes. I got ahead of myself. And people take a minute or two to look at them. I wasn't here, so I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes if you will find them accurate. I actually do have a question of those who were here, and one is that looks like instead of having the individual town boards do the budget, we have a committee of the whole that everybody agreed to. Is that correct? And also that you didn't want to meet at 6 o'clock, they want to meet at 6:30, so that's why we're meeting at 6:30. That also correct? Because we were going to have the town boards take care of some things like the governance stuff earlier. So is that, again, the common understanding? I just want to make sure. Because I didn't see vote or a motion or anything. It just seems to be a sense of the community that was
My recollection is it's just brought up in discussion.
Will, should I mark that as an item, just for housekeeping purposes? Or because we're not going to meet at 6 o'clock, I just need to get rid of a note yelling at the administration about not putting us in for a meeting at 6 o'clock.
Well, I'll note that going forward, I think, just looking at this proposed suggested budget meeting
Yeah.
schedule, we'll be meeting ahead of the regular meeting.
Right, so then instead of 6, it would be even worse, it would be 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's just, I will entertain a motion that we just officially always have both meetings concurrently at 6:30 with budget or other meetings to follow in advance. I'm not hearing anybody raise their hand for a motion.
I'll make that
That's
motion.
that's what we need, okay.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, just want to clean that up. We're still waiting to get an approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All right,
I was not here, so I won't speak.
neither was I.
A minor, very minor matter, but
Yes.
the spelling of David Kelly, who is the lead lawyer for the towns that are currently before the Supreme Court, that spelling is Kelley.
EY. Thanks for the pickup on that. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 We have 2 abstentions because 2 of us weren't here, and I consider that passed. Thank you. Now, on to communications and public comments. Is it still silence? On to reports. 5A, Assistant Superintendent, you're up.
Like we spoke about last night, the reports are on online and they're here. Chris did receive this UB Tech Grant Award. He gave me this information and I didn't know if it's mostly people talking. 22 school districts around the United States received it, and so I do have this document I can send around. It's just how people have gotten it and really liked it. So, and I know we have received some robots. Is that what we received?
So
from
the
them?
robotics, yep.
Yeah, and so it's really going to feed into our STEM programs and the engineering that we're really working on. So this is the information.
Was this a competitive process?
I think so, but I don't know. Chris wrote it and just kind of a shot in the dark, and he got it. And so there's a lot of, and it's in here. They had, 250 submissions, and they wanted some demographically diverse school systems, and they identified 22. And I think that it's for 3 to 8, and it's a STEM curriculum supported by robotics technology.
This says grade 3 through 8, is that
3
right?
through 8.
Oh, okay.
So-
that will affect us directly here.
Yeah. So it's basically engineering and understanding, and I believe there are pieces, from what I understood, they are pieces where the students are actually going to build the robots, incorporate science activities into core subjects, and lead robots and engineering instruction built around the students. So it's very interesting. I saw the kits, and they're really quite attractive.
Okay.
You
So-
would recognize the robots.
Yeah.
It's ubtecheducation.com.
Right.
And you've probably seen some of the robots.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do they compete
Although
against
when,
each other?
in this, it just lists the 22, out of the 250 that apply, the 22 districts that, or areas that got it, and
Yeah.
they are all over the place.
Right.
And it looks as though we might be
UB
the only Vermont
covers
one.
tech.
They're
Yeah.
looking for
Education.
diverse, it says right there, diverse and different city schools, they're rural schools and diverse schools. So I think they were looking for,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. We're together with Los
Yeah.
Angeles.
Oh,
There we go.
so 22, and Wyndham was one of them.
Oh, yeah. No, that boy.
But they wanted geographically and demographically diverse districts. So geographically and demographically, we're not the same as Los Angeles. And so
Really?
so I think that was part of the
Or
part of the reason why we got chosen. But we do have a strong STEM. Our coordinator is very strong, and we're really working on unifying our science curriculum right now. So
Do they compete against each other, do you know? The robots?
not
Rock'em
at this
sock'em.
point.
No,
No, no,
these
no.
are,
The students will learn how to build them.
they come in parts,
They do.
and the kids have to put them together and then program them.
Okay.
So it's not the competitive robot.
We're not
I can't remember what that is called, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robot.
they're really cool.
One of them you will recognize because it was designed to look like Wall-E
Yeah.
in the movie. So kids that the parents will know that one, even if the kids have no idea.
Do we need the third one, Sonia?
All right.
Yeah, I would put
Pass
the
that on
third one.
to Melissa.
Oh, yes, third signature, sorry. And which includes you, by the way.
Oh, I'll sign it then. Thank you.
Anything else we got?
Well, no, the Swiss, we have Swiss data collection, the principals can speak to that. It's school-wide information, it's student information on school-wide.
Information services.
Acronyms, school-wide information system.
Right, and so it's going to use, we're using that to collect data on the efficacy of our restorative practices, our guidance services, our social work, our social worker, our HCRS clinician. And the goal is to, again, as some of you heard last night, it's proactive, it's not reactive. The Swiss were hoping, we're going to use that as a measure to see if we are proactive in building relationships and looking at issues from a different way. So when students are naughty, instead of going for the discipline, we ask the questions, what were you thinking, why? Tell me what happened. What happened? How did it happen? What are you thinking about? And looking at it more as a relationship you're having with someone and trying to show them something different, as opposed to, okay, you're out of school for 3 days. This is not okay. So we're working on that, and that's, Chris put that in there. Missy's talking about all of our PD, and you can read about that. We had a math expert come for our interventionist on the 29th. And again, teachers are engaging in restorative practices, and we're continuing that. All the teachers had MAPS training, which is Measures of Academic Progress, which is our other data system for academics. And this week they're doing data teams, and I hear they're wonderful. I hear that there's a lot of excitement about a new curriculum and how wonderful it is and how great the kids, little kindergartners reading, and it's all over the place. So that's great. Apparently on page 10, which I learned last night, under Andy Haas's Director of Student Services report, the special education, they're asking us to pay, let's see. So the state had said that the business managers separate the special ed services from the regular ed services, even if they're spending their whole day in an alternative placement, which is really a hard thing to do. So in other words, they would, instead of having special education funds help us pay for the whole day, lunch and whatever, recess, and 30% of the tuition should be regular education. I don't know, but I guess the state backed up on that, and now they're going back to old business the way it has been, which makes sense. I think there was a lot of pushback.
There was, because it was the one thing, it didn't meet generally accepted accounting practices. And so any auditor, I know Doug Hopper was among the people who was made aware of this, and I don't know if he intervened or not, but it was not an auditable, anything that would ever pass muster with an auditor anyway.
It also was more stringent than the IDEA-B grant, which is the federal law that dictates special ed, and Vermont was stricter than the law, and you can't do that.
Right, because it's their money. Just a note for those who weren't there last night, the business about the Swiss, did I get it right? As a metric, one of the things that we did ask about was for these, not just restorative justice is another term you're using, that we wanted to know what the metrics were going to be, and it sounds like that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's a slow process because right now we're training the teachers, and it's if you remember, they used to have and they still do have responsive classroom. Well, the circle and the restorative practices are based on the same ideology, but we're doing it K-12, and there's a lot of reentry. There's a lot of reentry meetings if students are sent out. Kids that look like they may be able to be starting to fight, you get those red flags, we bring them in, and so that's our restorative practices. He gave a wonderful explanation last night, and again, the essence of it is proactive as opposed to reactive. So instead of all about discipline, we're talking about building relationships first. And then we have had some great Westminster school teachers inquired about restorative practices, and so we're all underway to start training the elementaries. So McKinney-Vento is it's a federal law for homeless education, so students who are experiencing homeless, to ensure that they have the same educational opportunity as anyone else, and that we're looking for consistency and stability. So if I live in Grafton and my house burnt, or I lost my house, or my house was condemned, and I had to move into a hotel in Bellows Falls, the district would transport me so I could stay in my school, and automatically, once you're homeless, you get free breakfast and lunch, and transportation to your school. So, and educational assistance if you need it, which would be Title I services. So, but Michelle Harrington she's a go-getter. And so we found a big need for sneakers this year, especially at the high school level. So she got $600. She went on Donors Choose, and she got $600 worth of sneakers and socks. And she presented at Park Place on homelessness and how it impacts the students. And she got 20 Kids in Coats application for homeless students to get a voucher to get winter gear. So this is pretty amazing what she's done. Our Farm to School Cafe, yay, Doug and Liz and Lynn. But anyway, you guys, yay. I just submitted it yesterday, but it was due today. They came up, they wrote a grant, but we all wrote a grant together. Lynn did, all the other stuff, but they edited the grant. And it is for $15,000 for the 2 schools, and we're really excited. But if you could tell them what it is real quickly, because we don't want to take all night, but tell them what you want. Yay.
So this grant is hoping to fund year-round growing on campus, and so that we can grow and continue our efforts at Farm to School, and so then you're growing for students and maybe doing, the long-term goal for Grafton would be maybe a self-sustaining snack program where we're growing our snack and harvesting it and using it during the day. And just kind of continuing those efforts that we started this year.
Yeah, because like things like putting in to make sure to have funding for someone to be able to work over the summer to,
Right,
to make
watering
sure that
the
garden
gardens.
doesn't die.
Cooking carts, especially for Grafton, you know, having a stove to cook on would be a big plus for us.
Is it a greenhouse? Am I a greenhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we put in to have a greenhouse out by our
For winter
garden.
growing?
Yeah, to grow all year.
So Westminster has a pretty substantial garden.
Right.
Harlow's helps them. But these two guys got together with their team of teachers. These two folks, these principals of our combined district got together and they put this to paper and they wrote everything up they wanted and we put it in the grant. And it is a grant for the Wyndham Northeast Elementary Union School District. So if we get the grant, yay, and we'll know by Christmas, by the holiday, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm pretty sure
Well,
though,
thank you all for doing that.
yes. So that's the Harley, and he has some nutrition news there. And so there you go.
Anybody got any questions or anything? Down the...
Oh, Edie has something to say, but she'll
Oh,
tell
yes,
you.
I'm going to ask her about her side of this next.
So I was wondering, is this something going towards trying to get free meals for all students? That's something that's kind of in the works.
Well, we're trying. What we have to do is help the principals see the value of breakfast after the bell, instead of having them come in and eat, you know, once the bell rings, if they can get their breakfast, go to their class, eat and do all that stuff in the first 10, 15 minutes and then go to circle. If we can get more students, particularly free and reduced students, engaging in breakfast, right now I think we have 36% of our school district using breakfast. And it's available, well, Grafton is, what, 66%?
Yeah, we don't have a morning recess because we only have one school bus, so everyone just comes off the bus and grabs breakfast and goes to classroom. So it's kind of part of our day, but we have such fewer students to manage that it works for us.
In other schools, it's hard for them to understand that breakfast after the bell. Option 2 to go free, universal free meals across the district would be to up our breakfast numbers. And we're working on it. Harley's really working on it, I'm working on it, but it's a hard sell right now, but we'll get there.
Did we meet the level for universal free meals?
Not option 1.
Oh, there's more than
Direct
one?
certification. Well, the first one is direct certification, so we meet the level because we have enough students on free and reduced, but those students are not directly certified. That means it has to come from the state. The state directly certifies a certain amount of kids. Some families, we just decide at the local level and the state level, but a direct certification is what they're looking for, and they're looking for 40%. And like in this school, we were like 66%, but I don't think we hit that 40% direct certification.
Do they break it out by the school or by the district?
By the school.
Okay.
So we're trying though, we're trying everything we can.
Good enough.
I'm not following this totally. Could you explain, you know, what we're looking for? You know, what students are we trying to get into the free
Well,
lunch?
we have 2 options. The first one is getting a higher percentage of kids or families directly certified from the state into the state records that come directly to the school.
Okay, these are children from families in need. Okay.
Yep,
Now-
they're the ones that families are on food stamps or they're getting assistance to help with food. So those families are automatically, all the kids are just directly certified. The ones that don't get that, they have to apply for free and reduced. But yeah, the direct cert comes right from the state, and
So we have this many free and reduced, but we have this many direct cert. And it's just a paperwork thing, but it's the law. So the option 2 is to increase our breakfast after the bell, which means taking 10 more minutes out of the day to make sure every kid or all our kids that can get breakfast get it. And when those numbers rise to a certain amount, then we can go with option 2. Or priority 2 or process 2 or whatever.
Provision, I think.
Yes, provision 2, thank you.
Yeah, well, I can't always remember it, but
Can you send something home in our weekly newsletter about breakfast specifically?
That would be a good idea.
In the Gabber?
Yeah, we don't really have a problem getting kids to eat breakfast here. That's not the
So
issue.
we have enough
Yeah, I mean,
that way.
most of our kids get breakfast here. That's not, I mean,
Okay.
that would really be a,
So we already met the
I'm,
threshold.
We have to,
I mean, we can always put something in the Gabber. I mean, that's not a problem at all.
we need to see what we can
But I'll look
do.
deeper into
But
that
if
about our
this
numbers
school could
specifically.
get universal free meals. that
Right,
is so-
we don't have as many direct certs as needed, but is it a paperwork thing to get?
But if we did provision 2,
Okay.
upping your numbers, and Harley will tell you, there's some formula that they get 1.6% of a free meal or something. A full lunch is, I don't know, $2.50, and they will get back 1.6. Like, we could go ahead and do it, but it would cost the district
Right.
more money, but they could
Right.
support it, but we could go ahead and do it. But what we would get is 1.6 of 250.
Yeah, I looked into it last year,
Yes,
I think.
you did.
So I need to follow up on that.
Yes.
And see what we can do.
We continue to really work on that. We want food, and our food is fantastic. It's just outstanding.
it's amazing.
So thank you, Jack.
Okay, so we are going to move on to the next part of our program here with this office report, which I guess would be Edie.
No?
No, good.
No, I just did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask a couple questions since Edie's here. First one is, are we still on track to have the budget data for when we meet for the schedule that's being,
That's my plan.
all right.
Yep.
And so, for those who don't know, there are some changes in the staffing over at the, in the business office, and we're making a lot of adjustments around that. I guess that's it for us. I would just let people know that when we start to meet on the budget, our budget cycle is obviously going to be short by more than a month, so we'll have to really get cracking on this and make a lot of hard and fast decisions. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to committees. Is there anything else that we need to know about, Edie, or that's pretty much the whole thing?
That's pretty much it.
All right, well, thank you for coming. Then we're on to principals' reports, and Westminster, Doug, you're up first.
Oh, all right, guess I get to go first, all right.
Yeah, let me ask about state profiles. What does that refer to? Is that something different? Thank you.
The back of the pack.
Page 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there,
The recess.
right. Is there anything about this that's an action item for us, or is this just sort of stuff we kind of know that there are?
I think it's for our information.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why we would want to collect our students' BMI, but, sure. All right.
Well, I think this is in response to parent concerns about recess. And I'll go ahead and add my comments. It's the superintendent letting us know that the state law does not require them to provide recess.
Oh,
And
I remember
my
this being an
opinion
issue.
is that the state law is the bare minimum we're required to meet.
It is
And
the floor.
if things are better for our children, and recess certainly is, based on all the research out there, we should mandate it in our district.
Do we want to have that be that sounds
That's
like
a SU thing.
That also sounds like an SU policy thing. And
It
it's
should be, yes.
Last time I looked,
I'm on the
We
policy
have
committee.
a designee for policy committee. Will we be looking forward to this being brought up at the earliest
I'm
opportunity?
sure it's on the list.
Well, if it is, I'm sure that you'll make sure that it is. Would
This
that be
school
correct?
has recess. I think the concern is the 5th and 6th graders that go to the middle school. They
Yeah.
don't have recess because they don't have an
No
outdoor.
place to have
They have no
recess.
outdoor
But they do
space.
have 45, I think it's 45 minutes a day of PE, physical activity.
Right.
So they do go outside sometimes in the green space, but they have PE every single day, whereas here, you get PE twice a week?
We have PE twice a week.
Twice a week, and they get it 5 days a week.
It is structured though, as opposed to unstructured play.
Yeah,
which is-
but the number of minutes that they're engaged in physical activity are the same. And that's, I don't know how.
Well, this goes back to an old controversy and why some of us were not real thrilled about the middle school being renovated rather than building a new one at Saxon's River, but we won't relitigate the past, though I'd like to. Okay. Cool, got that one. You're still on, Doug.
Oh, great. All right. Here I am again. So just upcoming dates. We have a harvest feast coming up, which I think is also similar for Athens Grafton, but our preparation's underway. So we do, on Monday is our feast prep day, so kids will be chopping and decorating and creating table pieces and decorating the lobby and that sort of a thing. And then on Tuesday we have our harvest feast, and we're excited about the feast this year. It's been like a year in the making. Last year we experimented with it, and like anything new, it wasn't popular 100% of the way, but we made almost all of the food out of the feast this year is coming from our garden. And it's touched clean students' hands several times along the way, from planting of it to harvesting of it to washing it to chopping it to, and you saw the freezer when you did the tour thing. So we're excited about that. Getting some local bread from anyway. So it's we're excited about the feast and seeing that kind of come all the way around. And Mandy's done a great job. It's kind of one of our farm school champions. Making that all happen, kind of coordinating that, and her dual roles as the library, media, tech and garden person, making that all come together, and we'll have a brief presentation on that on that Tuesday. I think I put in a note just to kind of throw out there for middle school students. It's always kind of a thing this time of year. I'll bring up a full formal roster of how many kids we have in each grade level as we get into budgeting on December 5th. But just as I was going through, as Edie's getting the numbers and trying to look through it, we had planned last year in our budget for 65 students, and we're currently at 68 registered, but a couple of them are still don't have all their documentation in. So we're in the ballpark, but just letting you know that that's kind of where we're resting on that, because that seems to have been a number that it's that pinata tail thing, kind of, or donkey, pinning the tail on the donkey, there we go. We had a relocation drill on November 8th. We had planned to have it on the 30th, but we forgot that Compass School does a big haunted house at the Institute where we relocate to, so we decided not to do it on that day. Anyway, so this was one of the first times we included preschool in a relocation drill, so it was good to see that. Happened to be the day when it was really cold and the snow was blowing sideways as we were going. But we did warn, because it was a drill, we let kids take coats and hats and that sort of thing. But we were really clear with them that this would never happen in a real life situation. We're just practicing the walk. So just it was good to keep those connections open, with people at the Institute. Rush Hodgkins helped us out with calling in his town crew guys and practice pulling up and blocking the road, which I'm sure was really pleasurable for the people who had to wait us to cross. But we were able to get the whole school to our relocation site within 20 minutes, which is pretty good from start to finish. So that went really well. We had winter sports is kind of our next little thing that we're kind of getting prepared for. Planning on starting that January 6th. We're offering the same sports we've been offering for a while. So we have downhill skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, swimming, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on one. Oh, outdoor adventures, which is just the kids who want to stay at the school and do hiking trips and and stuff. And the changes we've made this year, after some meetings we had with teachers and with a few parents, is that we've opened it up K through 6. So all choices are available to all kids, which is a little bit of a break. And so it works good for both ways. So kindergartners can learn to ski if that's what they're into, but also 6th graders can ice skate, and that wasn't an option we could do it on recess, but now it's an option to do on their winter sports day as well. So yeah, that's the majority of our report there.
Now, the two programs, we used to have just here, I guess we still do.
We do.
Now, are they equivalent programs, or how do they differ from each other?
Winter sports program?
Yeah.
I think they're pretty equivalent. I mean, we offer, our K-6 can choose, just like your K-6 can choose. We offer skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, or ice skating, which is similar to Westminster.
So it's not, we don't have any equality of opportunity thing going there.
No.
Okay, good. Anybody have questions for Doug? Vanessa?
Okay.
Good, I guess you're up.
Yeah, just like Doug had mentioned before, we're planning our Thanksgiving feast next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Then on the 3rd, December 3rd, our 6th graders will start their middle school visits. They're planning on visiting Compass School on December 3rd. Our holiday bazaar is December 10th. And our next Grafton Cares lunch will be December 18th with the grade 3 and 4. Those are just some dates to think about. Water update, we can drink the water. We are officially clear of, I know, we are officially clear of coliform and free to drink. We had our first annual Veterans Breakfast last November 8th. So about 40 veterans joined our school for breakfast. It was wonderful. Students prepared poems and songs and sat with community members, and there really wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was really a beautiful moment. Yeah, it was wonderful, and we're looking forward to one again next year. Studio Y continues to happen here. Janelle Beard has been visiting our classrooms every Friday, and we're planning our first trip out to the Studio Y location in January.
Okay.
Thanksgiving feast. So our annual feast is being held on Tuesday, November 26th. If you're able to cook a turkey for the feast, please let me know. The PTO purchases the turkeys and then community members cook them. We start our prep early the Tuesday morning. Community members are here around 7 o'clock. It runs a little differently than Westminster. Students are just, grade levels are assigned to bring in specific things. And then basically parents or community members cook all morning. And it's pretty special. We have a school of 50 students, and that Tuesday our feast serves anywhere 200, 250.
It's a whole town-wide.
Yeah, it really is. It's awesome. So if you're able to help in any way, please let me know. We'd love to have you. Or if you just want to come and enjoy the feast, we'd love to have you. It's delicious. We continue to dive into Fountains Pinot Classroom. So our staff is working with Ann BT on a pretty regular basis. She's our SU literacy coach. So every month I'm giving my teachers a half day to work with her to really dig into the components and make sure that they're on track. They're loving it. Our kids are really just can't get enough of the books that they're reading, and they're just really engaged, and our teachers couldn't be more pleased with the materials. So it's
Was this what Ben was talking about? Was
Maybe.
that? Well, I'm not sure, just because I know that you had when you walked us through, you were showing us the reading materials. I just want to make sure that we were all on the same page about that, and there wasn't a crosswire.
How are your kindergarten students doing?
They're awesome. They're reading. They're in guided reading groups, and they're reading. Yeah, they're just devouring it. It's awesome. It's really engaging. The books are beautiful. And
nonfiction and fiction?
they are, and there's one component called interactive read aloud, which is kind of the glue to the whole program. And what we've discovered, we just got it 2 weeks ago. It was back ordered and shipping, and it was kind of a mess, but it's here. And what we're discovering is it has a lot of science and social studies connections, as well as kind of character trait connections around empathy or trying new things or trying something hard. And so it pulls in so many other skills that we're able to connect cross-curricular wise. So that's been a big success.
And tomorrow at 2:30, what are you doing?
I am going to be sharing the materials with the other principals in the SU just so them to get a look at it and have an opportunity to, I'm bringing a teacher along with me because my best ambassadors for the program are my teachers because they're so pleased to have them share, answer questions about how it works in the classroom and just to get principals to get their hands on it and look and see what it's all about. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing. A big thank you to my PTO for purchasing our ukuleles for my music teacher. So all students are having access to learn that. It's really kind of a wonderful sound when they're in here playing, even if I don't know what a good ukulele player sounds like, but they all sound, yeah, they all sound good. So thank you. Yeah, I know, tropical vacation. And to go off the budgeting conversations, Doug and I are orienting ourselves with the new e-finance system, and all the principals will be meeting tomorrow to go over that with Edie. Are there other questions?
Anybody have anything? Guess you're off the hook. Thank
Okay,
you very
sounds good.
much.
Yeah.
Really helpful. Learned a lot.
Oh, it is.
And Edie, I called on you earlier, but you said you're all set?
I'm all set.
All right, so we're on with committees and town boards. Policy is not met, or have they met?
We have met, and then our last meeting, we didn't have a quorum. And I think there's a couple of policies that went to the SU for first read there. And they're really just, I think the policies that the superintendent has ready to go are basically the standard policies where we have to write exactly what the law says. And we had some from a few years ago, and there's just a couple minor word changes. And I think those are the ones that he's getting out right now.
I'll just say to you that committees of the SU are like any other working committee. They don't necessarily need a quorum unless you have to take formal votes to adopt and recommend.
I think we might have been at that point for a couple of them.
Okay, just because if it's don't let the numbers get in the way of getting work out. But,
No, I think the superintendent has done most of the work on those. It's like the weapons policy and
that's
those
all that-
kind that are just, you have to write exactly what the law is.
Yeah,
And there's just been a couple minor changes, but it has to be adopted as a whole new policy because it's different. And that has to go, I don't know the exact process, and I should. It has to be read at the SU and then adopted at the next meeting after it's warned. There's like a 30-day gap between every SU and then between each of the school boards before it's actually fully adopted. So.
got it. And on the budget, and I just want to touch base, just make sure that everybody really takes a hard look at this schedule, which I hope everybody's got, the proposed schedule that Chris has sent out. Now, the reason I mention it is he's got the 5th and the 12th for the dates for these meetings, and so make sure that people are okay. Since one of the meetings, we don't have actually, neither of them, our dates when we have a regular meeting in December. So we would presume then that we'd be meeting at 6:30 for those, right? Because the 5th and the 12th, we don't have this meeting.
I think we could warn it and change the date and warn it for one of our meeting nights, or we could have two meetings.
I mean, either that, or we can simply move up our district meeting for the 12th.
Right.
If that works for people.
We could even have two, I mean, if we're all going to be together.
Well, and my thing is, I just want to make certain that we need to make certain that we have our December dates down anyway, and these are not dates that we would normally be meeting, so I just want to make sure that people are up and ready for this, because if we're going to meet as a whole, that means you all get to meet as a whole.
It came up, I think, for me, but at the last meeting,
Yep.
that it might be helpful for the town boards to meet with the school, the principals from each towns, and go over the figures for that particular school before meeting as a whole.
I'm one step ahead of you, and I've met a few minutes before our meeting with our two principals, and from their perspective, that's probably how they would like to do it, because they're going to basically be building budgets at the building level anyway. So the problem that I have, however, is that right now we're having some challenges staffing out the other members of the Athens Craftsman Board. We've got at least one pending resignation, possibly two, so that might get to be a little difficult in practice, but let's see what happens.
So you're thinking that, or is the proposal then, say on the 5th, that the groups would break out?
That's kind of what I'm hoping at this point. I don't really see an alternative in that way. Our incumbent members of Athens Craftsman, which is basically us, unless we can get Pam or June to show up, are going to be us. And you guys can meet collectively as it works out. But I think that breakout sessions would probably, with the individual teachers, individual principals, would probably be a good way of dealing with it. And then perhaps at the end of it, we can just kind of quickly check in to see what we know. And if we do it right, we can not kill everybody's time, because I know that dental work might be slightly preferable to sitting in budget meetings when you're administrative staff.
But the location of essentially two meetings would be in the same
thank you for that, because normally we would be meeting in Westminster in our next meeting, and I would kind of encourage us to meet in Westminster on the 5th and Grafton on the 12th. Unless there's some huge screaming objection to that.
Jack, Edie's not available on the 12th.
I didn't even realize that.
Well, then, gosh, that means that what we're going to really do is we're going to meet on the 5th, and we'll have a to-be-announced meeting a little later in the month. How's that?
Perfect.
Because I don't see any real choice.
Can we
We can move
meet
it to
early
the
on the
8th.
19th?
We might be meeting early on the 19th anyway if we haven't made enough progress.
Okay.
But we can certainly do that. We can mark that as the 19th, and just, is that going to work for all of you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here at your service, but we really need.
I really do like that at your service, by the way.
So that's the
Very
12th.
empowering.
But
We're
we
going to
really
move to the
need
19th.
Yeah,
Yes,
and I had looked at this and it never clicked that the 12th I'm not
All right,
available.
so then we will meet, just so that everybody's clear. We will meet on Westminster on December 5th, and in the Westminster Elementary School at 6:30. Pardon me, everybody, at 6:30, and we will meet in Grafton at our regular time at 5:30 on the 19th, a regular date, at 5:30, and hopefully conclude our business sometime in time for our breaker meeting. Is there any objection to that?
My only, Edie just has to figure out how to clone herself prior to, so she can be in the Grafton room and in the West.
Well, no, she'll be, we'll have everybody, all, kumbaya, we're all here, we're gonna break out in the building, just, and that's how we'll do it.
I know, but then Edie has to be in.
She only has to be 3 or 4 feet away from herself.
Okay.
So,
So the 19th is here.
I'm sitting in the middle.
The 5th is in Westminster, the 19th is in Grafton. The Westminster is at 6:30, the Grafton is at 5:30, and good Lord willing, it'll all work.
Great. Do you want this? You can keep it.
All right?
And then the Union Elementary meeting is at 6:30 on the 19th.
On the 6:30 on the 19th, and that will be in Grafton again. So that's weird. All right, we want to make sure we're all copacetic with that, and I make sure I put it in my schedule and not screw it up like I did last night. All right. Great. Now, we have the Grafton, the two boards, the two advisory boards. I don't know if you haven't met separately from us, have you?
I have a little report though.
Yeah, okay. Report away.
Okay. That is that I was at a meeting last week with David Kelly, and then I spoke with him at some length at about 5 this evening. He's the main lawyer for the lawsuit that's before the Supreme Court. I called him and spoke to get a better handle on what the timing is before the Supreme Court, and what his advice to us might be. And the timing is not great because the Supreme Court, there's an appeal from the town of Huntington. The Supreme Court has decided to hear that appeal before and essentially bundle that case with the case of the 33 towns, including Athens, Grafton, and
Their merits, their argument's a lot different than ours.
I don't question the wisdom of the Supreme Court justices, but because that apparently is what they're doing, which means that there will not be a ruling probably before the end of January, which means that we will have to plow ahead with some sort of governance discussion, and I asked him what his advice would be regarding that, and he said, number one, that he would be happy to come down and meet with a group of people from our towns to help shape articles of agreement and so on. He says that we're in pretty solid shape because of the community support we have. He suggests drafting articles of agreement with substantial town power that would be voted on at town meeting time and would designate town meeting time for annual budget and election action. And going, into the future. He also says that at this point we should not pay. His quote was, "Ignore the state articles that they have imposed on us, and draft articles of agreement that work for this area, for our towns, and put them before the town vote at town meeting time." So that was his suggestion, and he's happy to come down and help go over it.
Just filling on that, I'd also talked to David about this, and one of the items that we are at least considering would be a way of solving the issue of how do people in half of the district know people in the other half of the district. And one thought was that we would institutionalize the advisory committee roles and possibly have them be in charge of circulating petitions and possibly even making recommendations to the broader community as a way of helping both make sure that people in places like Athens can get their paperwork before the entire community, because it'd have to be all 3 towns. And that was one of the specific items that I had asked him to advise us on. When the time comes and we get to governance, I have the original articles of agreement that we had talked about back when Ed Bank was here. I don't recommend all of it, but a lot of it's actually pretty good, and we should take a look at that. So I'll circulate that in a few minutes.
And I'll just note that this governance action should be needs to happen at the same speed as the budget.
Yes, it does.
Because they both will have to, they need to be addressed this year at town meeting time, because
With the clock really
we've got to
runs
have
out.
stuff set
Clock
up for
runs
the
out
next
for us.
fiscal- the
If we
clock runs
don't,
out.
we're in trouble.
Precisely.
In fact, my original hope was that we'd be meeting in November to have this, and the only thing is that the Supreme Court isn't cooperating, and so there we are.
How
As
does
for
the
the,
recessed meeting play into that?
At this point, the recessed organization meeting no longer qualifies as being recessed. It qualifies as just not having been completed. Too much time has elapsed, and we can't call the organizational meeting back out of recess. The suggestion from the lawyer was ignore all that, come up with a governance model that works for you, have it voted on at town meeting, and just go from there.
just one point on that. We actually don't have as much time as you're suggesting, because I was approached by our town clerk, who was concerned that we not only need to get our reports out, but the reports either are going to be as a separate document, or they're going to be incorporated in individual town documents.
Right.
We need to figure that out. And if we're going to, it's one thing to give people a budget, which is 20 pages, and then we're going to have articles of agreement. That's another. We're essentially going to be sending books to 1,000 households, and we need to make sure we've got all that work done, and B, make sure that we have agreed to pay for it, because we right now don't have any budget for that. So there you are. On the Athens Grafton board, we're having our board chair has formally indicated that he's not going to be able to continue, which is horrendous, because I have very few things I can say except just how much I've appreciated Harold's guidance over the years. He's really one of the most stand-up people I've had the pleasure of dealing with in public service anywhere, and he's going to be desperately missed. But we will need to find folks to fill that spot. And I'm going to ask Lynn and Charles to own that. We have some similar issues with, I think, our Grafton contingent. I would suggest that in the absence of our original AthGraph board chair, that the AthGraph vice chair, who sitting next to me, may want to check with the other constituent members and help Lynn find folks so we can get the show on the road. I know that you're looking forward to that.
Yes, gladly looking forward to that. Although we were discussing in the hallway yesterday at the SU meeting that if one of us gets fed up and quits,
Yes.
there is sort of no legal replacement method.
Well, here is what I would say to you. What we believe and what the state believes are two different things. We believe that there is a thing called the Athens Grafton School Board. If we follow the rules of the Athens Grafton School Board, the board, while we've still got enough members, can vote to bring on new members in case of vacancy. If we hold to the state's theory that these are merely conveniences of the new unified board, then the chair gets to designate 2 people who didn't run out of the room fast enough and assign them this task, which I'm sure that they're more than willing to do. And in terms of people being fed up, not yet, please. So that's all I got to say on that one.
Okay.
That's that with that. We are now on to number 6, or are we not?
Well,
Sounds like we're not.
if I can see in number 6, we have an item, governance.
That's right.
Perfect.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem. 6A, community relations. What is community relations? We talked about having a community relations committee, but what I think is more important right now is we have a reasonably functional PTG, thanks to some board members who are very active in it, and Grafton, and it sounds like there are issues with having something quite as vibrant in Westminster. Doug had referred ex parte to that, and what I would like to ask my 2 Westminster colleagues to do is, whenever that next meeting is, assuming it's not on the 5th or 19th, if one or both of you might attend and talk to them about what we might do to drive up participation, because quite candidly, PTGs are a place where occasionally you find an unwitting volunteer to join your school board later on. And they're just also, I think, incredibly helpful as advocates and as an ear to what's going on inside the building.
I think that's an important thing to do. I agree. I think that the pressures of the budget meetings and the governance meetings that we've got to do with a very tight time schedule mean that I personally am going to be less willing to spend time going to the parent teacher until January or February.
All I can say is the sooner we can get that, and the sooner you can get, just let us know that you've agreed to meet. 10 minutes.
Well, I will be there,
There
as
you
I
go.
already go to it.
Well, then, Melissa, you are my designee for
And
this.
Doug and I think we're in the process of trying to work on some.
Okay, if there's anything you
Stuff.
need or I can do to be helpful, do not hesitate.
Okay.
All right, governance. Here we are. You've already outlined part of the issue. My concern is that normally this would be a collaborative process, bringing in the whole community, and we'd spend 6 months doing it. We've got basically a few weeks. I'm passing out the articles of agreement that we all happily voted down last time we were asked about it. Now, these are our articles that were proposed, not the interim articles. If you have one that's got a lot of notes, they're mine, I'll exchange with you. But the main idea here is that rather than the board members by district that was laid out in 7, we'd probably be looking at a at-large election with town designees, which was the alternative model that the state said we could do, and that would be the one that I would prefer, at least until people decide otherwise. We've sort of met and sort of tried out our governance model. It's essentially what we have here, but it would be, everybody would vote as a community on these designated nominees. That is, does everybody have a copy of this? Should I?
Is there one more?
Yes, there is. This one's got all the final report stuff. If you really want, if anybody needs a cure for insomnia, I can give you the entire study committee report, which does provide some context.
I'll take
I
that.
think it is all still the Alternative Governance Study Committee documents, I believe, are still on the SU.
They are.
site.
That's the other thing that I want people to look at. I just couldn't get those printed in time today.
So just to remind people who, like Melissa, who wasn't here, there was we put together an articles of agreement to have a merger of Westminster, Rockingham,
Yes.
Athens, and Grafton.
And that is what this is.
That was voted down.
Yes.
We then did a whole bunch of meetings to come up with an alternative governance structure.
That's right.
Including all 4 towns, in Rockingham as well as the 3 here. That the state at first seemed to accept, but then a year ago, November 30, it said it wasn't going to accept that, the State Board of Education.
Yes, the State Board of
And
Education.
so then forced the merger of Athens, Grafton, and Westminster because we have the same school structure. At this point, I think that any governance model that we put together, I think it'd be great if we include Rockingham to some degree, but officially with the budgets and the representatives and so on, that will have to stay the 3 towns. So,
yeah.
So anyway, that's just a little
Let me
bit.
just give you some clarification here. From my perspective, and I believe my SU board chair will concur, we continue to operate under the alternative governance structure for the supervisory union. That instead of it being 5 participating, 6 participating districts, it essentially now is this district, the high school district, and the Rockingham district, so 3 districts. But the having biannual meetings and doing all the sort of cooperative study part, nothing. The state board has no jurisdiction on that, and we can continue to do it if we choose to, and I believe we choose to. What we need to focus on is the charter, the governing body for this involuntarily consolidated district. My only concern about any of it, candidly, is that because the constituent communities are non-contiguous, there's one road that connects 2 out of the 3, that we need to make certain that we have a way for the district to function politically as a whole, and that we have some way to inform people about the other people in the other half of the district without just simply having a straight majoritarian thing, because that's what we have seen elsewhere when that occurred, is that those majority boards have met and all the schools that weren't in the majority got closed. Or that seems to be the process right now, and that does seem to be intentional. So one of the other reasons why we need to get cracking on this is that in conversations I've had with quite a number of school board chairs, they would really like to see a decentralized model as something they could bring to their own school districts, the same ones that are struggling with these issues, as are we. One is spread across 60 miles of the northern tier. It's just a nutty thing. They have the same kind of issues, and there is an appetite for building a model. It's one of the reasons why David Kelly is eager to come down and help us. It's not just because he likes us, he's looking for something that we can bring statewide. In terms of an action item, all I can tell you is after we've had a lot of fun meeting on our budget meetings, at least on the 19th, I will have more documentation, maybe even some outline material we can work off of, but I think we need to get crack-a-lacking on a document, at least have parts of it worked out, and that's going to be pretty much the agenda for the 19th meeting. So, get your seat pads.
Well, yeah, that sounds good, except I'll know that that the timing of getting something prepared for the governance
Yes.
is as important as the timing for the budget. Right now, we have no method for voting on the budget. So the townspeople, until we get some sort of proposal out there, and we can do all we want to prepare a budget, but we have no way to put it before voters.
My expectation is that the way this is going to work, and it's not ideal, is that we are going to have a meeting, much like the meeting that we had where everybody yelled and had, and we at least confirmed us all in our positions, so we had something to work with, is that we will meet with the community in a meeting just like the one we had, that we will ask them to adopt the interim articles, and at that same meeting, if we can do it legally, ask them to approve the budget. I'm not sure that we have to have one in front of the other by 30 days, which if that's the case, we need to have a meeting to confirm the Articles of Agreement in February, or later probably than February 15th. So there's that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Before
That's
having
something
a-
we need to find out, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you hear? Did you? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So-
My suggestion,
I want to just check with her then.
Yeah, I'm typing to Chris, I'm not doing something else. I want him to know exactly what's happening. Usually I text him, but the phone, yeah. So I'm typing to him, and I'm still on maybe getting the interim articles of agreement and the budget approved at the same meeting.
If that can be done, if not, we'll probably, if we need 30 days, if we need to have a new board authorize the budget, I don't think we do, but I'm
We
not sure.
might,
That's what
because the warning for the budget is going to be worded to the voters of the union district.
Right.
You can't warn the voters of the union district before there's an adopted
Well,
agreement,
I mean,
I don't think.
yeah, and if you remember back to the 8 months ago, the way the state told us that it had to happen is that the transitional board could come up with a budget.
Yes.
But then there needed to be an election of officers that would then formally adopt the budget and propose it to the voters, and then the voters would vote on that. In our case, we circumvented that somewhat by just skipping the election
Well,
part.
what we did is we confirmed,
Sounds
what we did, and I did it on advice of counsel, who admired the innovation, was that we confirmed the member, we had a vote of the community to confirm the members in their position. That would essentially be a vote to extend the authority of the interim board for this budget cycle, in my interpretation. That is the basis on which we are operating, because we've been operating on that basis ever since that meeting. And if any of this is legal, having the and we have been confirmed by council on multiple occasions, both David and Larry, that this is okay. And in fact, our moderator said it was okay, though again, he thought that it was certainly admirable innovation, that we can, in my view, go ahead and prepare a budget and have both things simultaneously. I would prefer that, because I think it's really asking a lot of voters to come to their towns to vote on a town budget, have them show up X days later to vote on the district budget, and have them vote on yet a third time just to have us all be nominated from the floor for whatever people want to do this.
I've got a suggestion, which is a little bit of sort of divide and conquer, and a little bit of let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. And that is that a group of us meet as soon as possible with David Kelly when he can come down to this area and start hashing out a proposal. And use his expertise to help figure out these issues of sequence of elections and budget votes and articles of agreement and all that kind of thing, which we could talk around and around and around.
We do.
So
My impression was David was willing to work with us on crafting language for the articles. The whole business of scheduling and all the rest of it feels like it's still a Larry Slayson thing. I have asked Larry, I've sent him a couple of messages. I know he's been a little bit under-available right now, but I will try one more time tomorrow and see if we can get him. And what I'm going to do is the keeper of the schedule with David Kelly, official person to do that is now going to be you, David Major. So you want to handle that, and
so
keep us in
I
the loop.
will, yeah, I'll see when he can come down. Whoever is interested in this group,
We'll have to warn it.
we'll have to warn it.
So we need
Right.
to make sure we have everything.
Okay.
And I'll ask you to, when he says we're going to warn it, that will be the time when we're warning it.
Do you want? Should we call it the governance committee?
We will call it the governance committee, and it'll be it's a committee of the whole.
Committee of the whole, and
Is-
that is,
That is whoever shows up, or we can just have it be a committee of David and Jack with everybody else in attendance so that we don't have a quorum issue. Would that be better?
I think that would be
Then
better.
that's what we'll do. So it'll be sent to everybody, but the two members of the governance committee will be Jack Breyer and David Major.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else dying to be on the governance
I'm
committee?
hoping everybody be here. This is just so we don't run into a quorum issue.
I have two thoughts on that. Is that one, find out the availability
Yeah.
Yeah.
of David Kelly and or Larry Slayson, because we can warn that as an emergency meeting
Yes.
of this board for discussion with legal counsel, so we can do it in 24 hours if we have to, or after the fact, if he can come at noon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because looking at the timelines for getting things in for town meeting and into town reports
Yep.
and such, we really have till like the end of December to do this.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I'm, not real happy about our schedule, because we're not going to have a budget until January. So
Right,
lots
and
of
I
luck
think
on
if you
that.
checked with Kim, that's not gonna work. for the
I've
town
talked to Kim
report.
and told her how it wasn't going to work. And that is why I said we're not going to be including our report as part of the town reports. It's just A, it's not physically possible, and B, it's not a town, we don't put the high school budget for before in the town packets, and we're not going to do that with this.
Okay, and then my other thought, because
Which means we're going to have to prep it, by the way, which means that town clerks aren't, because it'd be like the
Yeah.
high school.
Okay, so we'll
I
prepare.
don't. Why not try to get the school budgets in the town report so that we don't have to do duplicate mailing?
We don't have time. I would love to. We literally will be having our last meeting on the 13th. The way these things usually work, we'll probably have another one on the 15th. And that if they need their stuff in by mid-December, we have a time.
No, they need it mid-January.
mid-January.
Well, it just means that they'll have like 2 days to prepare everything coming out of budget, and I wouldn't ask anybody to do that, especially when you're down staff as it is.
Yeah, usually by the
I
20th,
hate
we have
much
to
as
have
you do.
everything
Yeah, I just wanna be
in
clear.
all the
20th of
towns.
We don't have a budget for sending out
20th of
stuff to anybody.
The 20th
And I
of
think we
January
need to
might be,
rely on the town.
I think the 20th of January, even if we were printing it ourselves, the 20th of January is probably the same deadline we would need to get those printed and mailed.
All right, well, we can.
So I think we should try for the town report.
Then we will ask the town, I'll have another follow-on with Kim. I had one this morning, and maybe I'll swing over to talk to her friends over in Westminster this week too, or Monday, or no, I'm not gonna be here after Thanksgiving.
So to that end, you speaking with Kim,
Yes.
because I know how the alternative governance and first voted down merger went here in Grafton,
Sure do.
I think it would be great if you talk to our friends, the town administrator and Joe Polio, to let people know that these meetings are going to happen, especially the governance portion,
Yeah,
because
you're gonna want to.
there's going to be opinions
Right.
and people, we should also be, I would like to be very transparent with the whole thing, make sure everybody knows, if you could do the same in Athens.
And
Get it
when is the
into the
next
newsletter.
select board meeting in Westminster? And when is it in Grafton, just for Chuckles?
Grafton's like the first Monday,
It's the second and fourth.
the second
Wednesday.
Monday.
Okay, just want to make sure it's not going to hit these.
Mondays.
What's the day of the week, just as long as it's not the 5th, I don't know.
No, oh, there is a select board agenda posted for the 25th of November.
This on the web.
Okay, I don't know why we did that. The 25th of November is next week, what time, what day of the
I
week?
don't know,
Monday.
it's keeping me.
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Oh, it's a
you-
budget meeting, I'm sorry, it's a special budget
All right, well,
meeting.
they don't gonna want us.
So that's not the one. You said they're the second
The Grafton
Monday,
is first and third Mondays.
first and third Monday,
All
so
right, go to the calendar here.
that's gonna be the
Westminster-
2nd of December.
And Westminster's second and fourth Wednesday.
All right, so let's see if I can get on their budget, their agenda for the
So
second.
these meetings are town meetings, right?
Yep,
Okay. And I just need one more clarifying question.
Which meets this.
right now.
Yeah.
That was last
This
night.
meeting.
Yeah.
I'll talk with you later.
Yeah, we'll get that, and at some point, we're gonna have to change this, because I want the select boards, all the select boards, for us to be able to talk to them on a fairly regular basis, and we're scheduled right now to directly conflict. When does Westminster meet?
Second and fourth Wednesday.
Second and fourth.
So
That's-
what day of the week is that?
That's the
Next week.
27th, that's the night before Thanksgiving. The 13th and the 27th,
In December, they'll meet when?
December.
Because I can't.
Will be the 11th and
All right.
Christmas.
Well, then I guess, let's see if we can get on the 11th agenda. Would one of you two, one of you three, pop in and ask to be put on the agenda, and I'll show up, and we all can show up, have a party. All right.
You're also welcome to speak as
Yeah,
in the
but,
public comment portion of any of their meetings.
well, the only reason is they wanted, this could eat up 20 minutes of their time, and I want people to know that we're gonna do that to them.
The official entity will be the what are we, the WES?
The WNE, whatever it is, Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary School District, and it's governance and budget timelines,
Okay.
so that they know, A, that we're going to ask them to put our budget and our articles in it, and to let them know how it is that we're cooking these up, so that it won't feel like we're doing something through the back door, because it's a little bit of meatball surgery here, but we're where we are. All right. Well, that was fun. That, I think,
finishes number 6.
it on governance. It's actually it also on planning and budgeting. We covered that.
Josh, may I ask a clarifying question?
Go ahead. I hope I've got a clarifying
I
answer.
think you do. I just didn't follow it. So, so are we or are we not including our report in with the town reports? At first, you said we prepare it, but then you and Jessa and David were going around, and then did we decide because we had to have them in by the 20th anyway?
Yeah. We need to find out if that's going to work for our individual towns' publishing schedules.
Okay.
That's one item. And of course, there is the item of, we are working on the assumption that we can concurrently elect members and approve the budget. Since town boards have been doing that for years, I'm going to hope that we can also do that here. But I am anticipating that our new legal counsel will find a way to make it work for us rather than raise objections. That's not a subtle hint, by the way.
So we can elect members and develop
Approved budget?
approved budgets. Great.
So let's not overthink it. Let's hope that's the case, but we won't really know till we have our first governance.
All right. So that is that, and we're going to try to have David ASAP, and I'm going to continue conversation with Larry to see if we can also chat.
Yes.
That is what is going to happen on that. I think we're good through all of 6 at this point, and I'm mindful of the time. 7, new business discussion. We have the approval of the teacher retirement. I see in the minutes that you gave what looked like a conditional approval, assuming that everything worked out. Let me report to you everything worked out. That was that was a document that I signed last night. So and it's signed under the appropriate title, so we're good. Unless there's an objection. Not hearing one, we're good. All right. I see winter sports discussion. I think we kind of had it, didn't we?
I think so.
All right, good.
Anything more, Doug, on winter sport?
No, we're very excited. Let us know.
Okay. All right. One more thing, we really will be done, and hopefully this is quick.
Also do my piece.
There's C and D.
Yes, that's actually in 6. That's in 7. That's 7D.
We're still in 6.
No, we just finished.
7A.
We just did 7A. That was, we have confirmed that the retirement incentive thing has been taken care of. We've done our winter sports discussion, and now we're on to my new funnest topic. Here y'all are. These are invoices. And they've been sent to us by our
I'll take it. I think
various,
this is
by
your second.
2 of the 3 towns that make up our district. The issue is that both of them had to send out second mailings because they had to cut their tax bills and do some calculating. Now,
Did you want? Did you need this?
I will. This is something that I will defer to all of you to make a decision on. Just for your. Does everybody have?
Josh, you want one?
Josh, you want one? They're great paperweight.
Yeah.
All right.
You mean you're not
Well, I mean-
invested?
Here, pass that down.
All right. All right. The issue basically boils out as follows. The towns were inconvenienced by this. Now, 2 of the towns were. The 3rd didn't have to do this. They made a different type of decision and sent out a unified year bill. Technically, all municipalities have sovereign immunity. When the state of Vermont makes us use some completely bonkers software and we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in overtime, we don't get to charge the state of Vermont for their misgovernment. When the federal government screws up Title I money, which happened at least once in my tenure. We didn't get to go send them a bill for the interest we incurred while they straightened it out. So in that note, this is from my perspective, a voluntary decision. We're not obligated to do it, but I'm not willing to, if the community sentiment is that we honor these invoices, I would just add that the consequences of this is we're essentially going from each town owing, Grafton would owe $1,500 approximately, and
No, not if you add it all together.
$1,567 was what I had as their number.
There's multiple pages.
Oh, no, really? I did not.
So 2,500, so it's about 3,000 there.
No. Really?
No.
No. I think it's the 1,000. It's the $1,000 added up
this is
here.
from
This
down. There's another one.
Okay, so $1,567.44, and the Westminster one, which I just passed.
31.95.
Okay, now,
about how it's gonna work.
I am going to defer to the wisdom of my Westminster colleagues here, noting that the voters of these towns are the same voters as they are of the unified district. So it's essentially asking one body to pay a bill so that their taxpayers won't pay when they're the same taxpayers. And the other is that the Grafton bill is in large part a response to saying if Westminster is going to be paid, we'd like to be paid too. The Westminster picks up about 80% of the aggregate tax bill. So the question is, do you want to pay 80% of $4,500 or 100% of $3,000? And that's up to you all. I'm perfectly happy to have you do that, noting that Athens didn't incur any debt and they're going to be asked to pay a piece of that, and I have a problem with that a little bit.
So if the split is 80% Westminster, your share of the total would be about 3,800
That's sort of the issue I come up with.
versus the 3,100.
As a Grafton resident, I'm perfectly happy to reduce our $1,500 to what will be basically about
We'd be down to
20% of that, but I'm not sure what y'all want to do. I'm good either way. I'm going to abstain. So you can tell me what you want to do.
Why hasn't Athens?
Because they didn't incur
We
the
didn't
debt.
incur, we delayed our payment until we could get the forms from the state and send out the one budget. We didn't send it out twice.
your tax bills go out later.
You do an annual, we do quarterly. I think you also do quarterly, and that's the thing.
We do.
Biannual.
Biannual, okay, so it's quarterly, biannual, and annual, great. As I said, I defer to what you all want to do. I will put on the floor, just so we have a motion that has this board authorize the total of, what is it, 15?
It's like 4,700.
Yeah, do you want to just quick do the math for me?
4,700.
Yeah, but we need the exact number.
46,62,44.
There you go.
Okay.
47,62.
4,762.44. So that we have a motion on the floor, and what do y'all want to do? Don't all speak up at once.
So 80% is what is allotted to Westminster out of.
Well, that's a swag, but that's kind of what it looked like.
And that would be just 3809 and 95 cents.
Well, you might come out, if I'm off by 10%, it might go
No,
less.
I just didn't know if there was any.
No,
any
that
formula that
was
worked out.
completely pulled out of thin air, but I believe it's correct.
times 80.
I think that's actually what I was gonna try to pull up here.
Or
was-
0.8.
I think it depends on, it's just the
What is it,
value of the
80?
grand lists of the different towns.
What is the split?
I don't know, I don't have it with me, and I've looked at so many numbers.
I was
that-
gonna look at the,
Well, anyway, if we owe it, if people feel we owe it, then we owe it irrespective of how it weighs out. If people think that we have sovereign immunity and we're sorry for what we did, and that's the end of it, then that's the other decision. That would be my take. But I just wanted people to know what the numbers were as well.
I'm thinking politically.
Oh, well, clearly,
And
just
the
throwing
fact
stuff out.
that the townspeople are going to be looking at an unusual budget vote, an unusual vote about articles of agreement, an
Yeah.
unusual vote about board members.
Well, hopefully not that.
And I
You're
don't
asking a lot.
think we want to start out with a controversy about mailing costs.
Okay.
So I guess I would vote to, or suggest that the board pay these mailing cost bills. But
As a resident of Westminster, I would like to respond to your member, and that is that in picking up the cost to Westminster will be in excess of what their claim is for. So to collect 32, it will cost them 38. And to me, that's an illogical argument to be making. Not you, Dave Major, it's an illogical argument for the town to be making. Bear in mind that first they went after the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union for these overages, which indicates that they have not a very good understanding of how the governance or finance works. And my math is simple. If it costs you $3,800 to collect 32, it's not a good deal. And that's, I think, what the board's response should be.
What I will say is something that stuck with me from our town clerk, and that was that there are two issues from their perspective, because they may decide to go litigate because everybody else has, and that is that one is the principle of the thing from their perspective, and they're rather eloquent about that today, talking to me. They felt that this is really that they have suffered an injury, not due to our action, but due to what the state has put us through, and they would like to be on the record showing that there was a cost incurred. And they would, and if they do that, they can show that they have suffered at least a $1,000 injury. Don't know where that takes you, but there it is.
it takes you to sending the bill to the State Board of Education.
Well, they might. But you know, and they'll have the same response that I originally had to this. But you know, like I said, I'm very conflicted, and whatever you all want to do, I'm happy to support. So you know, I'm going to vote last. And so, what's the pleasure?
Well, I agree with David that it would be hard to justify asking Westminster to pay $3,800 when we have a bill for 32.
Well, you can either eat the 32 or have a principled argument they were injured and have us officially recognize it. And maybe they like doing that. You know, somebody there must have done the math too. I just got to
do we
assume they
have,
knew
I
that.
don't know if they did, do we have a sense that that's why they sent this? Do you know, I mean, if it's about
they're
the
ticked
money, I'd like to go back to them and say, you know this is gonna cost you more, right? And if they're like, yes, it's about the principal, then we'll pay it, is how I
Yeah.
feel.
I mean, essentially, if we send a check for $3,200 or $3,195 to the town of Westminster, the tax implications are going to be that Westminster residents, property taxpayers, will actually be paying about $3,800.
That was kind of my
Give or
work.
take. So,
Shall we ask
and
them?
if we send the check to Grafton for $1,567, there actually will be.
We'll be making money.
Well, the people who are going to get in the neck is Athens. Who did nothing, was honorable, hasn't asked us for anything, and the resident's going to be paying for it anyway. Maybe what we should do, spitballing, is table this thing, and let's just have, and we are going, if we're going to go meet with the folks at the next select board meeting on the 11th, that's the 11th, right?
Yeah.
And meet with our Grafton board on the 3rd, maybe
second.
on the 2nd, excuse me. Thank you. Dyslexia. On the 2nd, we ask them, if is this a matter of principle, or is this really something where you think you're going to save money?
It'll take a half hour of discussion at the select board meetings. And if someone starts bringing up the fact that state aid education affects the budgets too, and so what the towns are actually paying is not strictly what the budget is, and so your calculation of 80% to Westminster and 20% is not really true. It's going to confuse matters enormously, and I think just to keep things simple, we should just
Save the damn thing.
send the mailing checks, mailing cost checks.
Okay. Other thoughts here?
I'm okay with that.
I'm going to call the question. All in favor? I don't know, in favor of paying the, what was the
What was
number
that,
again?
the motion was to pay?
Yes,
It was
okay.
$4,762.44 to and honor the two invoices.
Aye, yes.
All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, Lynn? No, I don't blame you. I'm still going to abstain because I don't feel good about this at so many levels, but yeah, fine. So the motion passes.
You asked
Should
for
have just
nays.
tabled it and talked about it.
Oh,
Aye.
nays, ask for the nays.
That's for the nays.
Oh, then yays. Oh no, I had a nay, and I had the yays. And 1, 2, 3.
Although I don't know, I
Four.
think maybe we should table it.
Well, we kind of
Think
just
about
passed.
it.
We just
I know,
passed it. So you want to reconsider?
I was trying to find the,
I don't know.
no, I think that's a great
In a good
vote.
enough
You can
way.
vote however you want, Lynn, but I think that's you made a
Well,
statement with your
it's,
vote as the lone
And my
Athens
and
representative.
my apologies, Dad.
Please.
Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to ask a point of order.
Yes.
And that is, can you define, please, who the voting members of the Wyndham Northeast Elementary Union School District are?
Thank you, because,
Because I don't know if I can.
well, actually, no, that's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we have the authorized members is Lynn, it's me,
1, 2, 3,
it's
4.
Jessa, and it's Ms. Carlson down there. So we've got 1, 2,
3, 4, 5.
yeah, so we get 5 members. We
No,
had-
4.
Cheryl's the other.
Right, we had
Cheryl
5
and
members.
Melissa.
We had, with the record to show, we had 2 votes for, 1 vote against, and 1 abstention.
So I actually abstained too. I didn't vote for
Oh,
it.
then we have, then.
But I was
then-
quiet,
then-
it didn't
then-
matter
then-
before.
Then the vote fails because it was 1, 1, and 2 abstentions. Thank you for the observation, esteemed member of the public.
Bummer.
All right, then I'm going to move that we table this and seek the guidance of the two town boards that are submitting these bills to us. And much as I hate the idea, because you make a very good point, So, can I do that? All in favor of that? You can't vote, but you can talk.
I think you can't, the motion just failed, so you can't table.
I can't bring up a new motion, no?
Right.
I think parliamentary, you're right. Vote failed.
The vote failed, so these go
So
back with an
the-
unpaid stamp.
They go
to the
back with an unpaid
towns.
stamp. All right, then that's what we're
So if
doing.
we could informally get them the message before they get the denied invoice in the mail.
That will be the basis of the discussion. And I will own that one so they can yell at me.
Thank you.
All right, that's,
And I abstained because I don't understand how all this stuff works, so if anyone ever wants to educate me so it can be
I
educated to make
can't
decisions
find the tax
about this stuff.
stuff online. It's here, it's somewhere on that drive.
both, two of the three towns had to do an additional mailing. They occurred.
Oh, don't educate me
Yeah.
right now.
Oh.
Later,
Fine,
somewhere
fine.
else.
Good,
Not
because it's
everyone
coming to
else's time.
8:30 and I don't want to educate anybody, even though this is a school board.
I don't think I'm going to pick it up in 5 minutes.
All right, fine. So that is, we have the school funds disposition question 7D.
Yes. This is a question for Edie. Darlene has still in the Athens school fund
Yep.
$5,491.13, and she doesn't know what she's supposed to do with it.
She needs to make it payable to the Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary School District.
Okay.
Because Athens actually ended up in a deficit, but we shut off all bills for last year as of August 30th. And there was a bill that came in September, so the Union Elementary paid it, but it really belongs to Athens. So,
Okay.
but Athens is a
In a sense,
done
it's a
deal.
wash
Yeah.
then. Okay.
Yep.
That's good to know. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we've done that. We're on to A. Do we have appointments, hires, anything we need to address? Well, the director's comments is number 9. Going from Melissa.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's, yeah.
Okay, been a long night, thank you. Gwen? Anything?
Nothing.
Please, nothing? Thank you all, it was a little bit longer than I anticipated.